his foot, but to make sure that Des Bryant didn't exert too much energy in warm-ups. As a guy who's a very excitable player, they wanted to make sure he saved his best for the actual game. Matt Castle has only played in 3 practices with Des Bryant. It's been the first time they're in an actual game together. Castle says he's ready to go.
Dallas won the toss. They deferred to getting the football to the second half. So we're going to look immediately at Russell Wilson and the Seattle offense. Troy, before they take the field, Russell has been sacked 31 times already this young season.
Yes, he has. And today he's going to be without their left tackle, who has been their best offensive lineman in a group that has struggled throughout this season.
The electrifying rookie Tyler Lockett will take a knee. So here comes Russell Wilson. He's all about winning football games at the end of the day. 39 wins in his first 55 career starts. They're the most ever by an NFL quarterback. And his 80 touchdowns are 6th most of 45 victories include the postseason.
Well, they've had to rely on him a lot this year, as they have really each of these seasons, but this year more than ever because of the problems they have had along that offensive line. He has been under pressure throughout, and a lot of their big plays have come with Russell Wilson on the move.
He'll turn and do what he's done so many times through the years. And that's give it to Marshawn Lynch. Coming off his best game of the season, 122 rushing yards on 27 attempts over at San Francisco, and you figure to get a steady dose of him, Bailey replaces Okun, and you have Nowak back at center.
Well, they came back in that game against San Francisco, and Marshawn Lynch coming off his best game of the season, over 100 yards rushing in that contest, and that was a good way to start this game.
Lynch had not carried more than 18 times in a game all season long. Of course, he's had to battle through a hamstring injury, which cost him 2 starts and part of another. But they handed it to him 27 times last week. How about this Cowboy defense? They can rush the quarterback.
Well, they can get after the quarterback, there's no question. The thing that they have really struggled at is, as you see, they just have not been able to take the ball away. They've only had 1 game all season where they've created takeaways. That was the 2nd week of the season against the Philadelphia Eagles. And anyone who knows Rod Marinelli, the defensive coordinator, he prides himself on being able to take the ball away from the offense.
Yeah, they're closing on 300 snaps without a takeaway. And that's a first down completion across midfield for the former Saint Jimmy Graham.
Well, they run play action in the backfield, and that gets Sean Lee, the linebacker, to bite and play the run, and it opens up the throwing lane then for Russell Wilson to Jimmy Graham. Just an outstanding job of execution and getting the ball into his hands early.
You know, they thought maybe Graham would get kick-started after that game against Carolina when he had 140 receiving yards. You compare the number of times that he's been thrown to this year. His first in Seattle compared to last year in New Orleans. Fake it one way, Wilson throws a pull. A fastball from the former baseball playing Russell Wilson, and that's close to another first down.
Well, this is an impressive start right now for this Seattle offense. As I said, they came into this game shorthanded, losing their left tackle, Russell Okun, and Darrell Bevell, their offensive coordinator, he's got things mixed up. They move Wilson outside the pocket. He's got a free shot then to Doug Baldwin coming down the line on the comeback.
Hey, we're good.
This has been impressive here in the early going.
Third down and less than a foot.
Let's go 5-5 now. 5-5.
Second down and less than a foot.
Ready, go.
And Lynch very close. It looked like he had enough. Needed to get us inside the 37, and that's where he was wrapped up. Pete Carroll, 64 years young, a native Californian in his 6th year as head coach of the Seahawks. 4 times they've been to the playoffs in his first 5 years, including back-to-back trips to the Super Bowl, winning it all 2 years ago. Chukwuafu leading the way and bouncing off his attempted block. Hardy and Lawrence there on the stop behind the line of scrimmage.
Well, that's a good job by DeMarcus Lawrence on the backside, because they've been using the fullback Will Chukwuafu more and more as that lead blocker within this offense. Highly effective against San Francisco last week, but they get the kick out with him. DeMarcus Lawrence is able to make the play from the backside.
Fred Jackson, longtime Buffalo Bill, standout, checks into the backfield. The shovel pass to the Texas native Jackson. He grew up just down the road in Fort Worth. In fact, went to high school here in Arlington. Let's check in for the first time with Mike Hill back in Los Angeles.
Guys, 6 quarterbacks have thrown for an NFL record 7 touchdowns in the game. Drew Brees is now one of them. The 7th going to C.J. Spiller, tying the score at 49. It is 49-49 Niners, Giants, and Saints late in the 4th.
All right, Michael, thank you. You take a look at the NFC West. No one running away and hiding. Giants 1 game over 500, the division leader. 3rd down and 3. Wide receiver screen to Lockett. Picks up a 1st down and more. Run out of bounds at the 14-yard line.
Well, they go to the trip set. They run a bunch formation out by the numbers, and they get the ball to Tyler Lockett. Look at the blocking that he gets from the other receivers, and an easy pickup. They don't make the tackle. Dallas doesn't when they have a chance. He's going to get the 1st down anyway, but he gets more yardage after contact. This is an offense that a year ago, pretty much the same players on both sides of the ball that really struggled, in that loss. But they have come out here today on this first possession and have moved the ball well.
Lynch inside the 10, down to the 9, wrapped up again by Lawrence. Nearly 5 minutes so far on this drive.
Yeah, talk about that game last year that was in Seattle, and Dallas was 4-1 going into that game and feeling pretty good, but a lot of people saying they hadn't really played anybody yet, and they go up against the defending world champs at their place, and they dominated the football game on both sides of the ball. The score was much closer than really the game was because of some turnovers. This defense really shut down this offense, but not here in the early going.
Saw the struggles for Seattle, and that goes back to last year inside the red zone. And this is really where they've run into problems. The Seahawks last year and again this year are running the ball in the red zone more than any other team in the NFL.
Yeah, they've had a tough time down here, Tom. There's no question. One, they haven't had a lot of opportunities in the red zone, but when they've gotten down here, they've been unable to cash in. And the guy that we all thought was going to really move the needle for him was the acquisition of Jimmy Graham, but that just hasn't happened.
11th play of the drive. First in motion. Wilson in trouble. Escapes. Throws. Incomplete. The struggles continue in the red zone for the Seahawks.
Well, it's good coverage by the Cowboys as you take a look. They plastered on everybody. It was just man-to-man. It looked initially like Russell Wilson was trying to get the ball there to Jimmy Graham. He's able to buy some time, gets outside the pocket, but the secondary just stayed on their man, and a good stop after a nice drive by the Seattle offense.
Hauschka's hit on 18 consecutive field goal tries and make it 19. That one good from 26 yards away. And Seattle on its opening drive, better than 6 minutes, 12 plays, spanning 72 yards, but not a touchdown. They come away with 3.
Yeah, and you see Steve Hauschka there, and as you come into this game between he and the Cowboys kicker Dan Bailey, both of those guys perfect on the season, 2 of the very best in the game, and it's a huge weapon for these head coaches coming into a game like this that you expect to be tight.
Jason Garrett's 49 years old, grew up outside of Cleveland, Ohio. 8-8 in each of his first 3 years, and 12-4 NFC East champions last season. But all of a sudden here this year, whether it's the injury to Romo, the injury to Des Bryant, they've had 2 players that were suspended in McLean and of course Greg Hardy, that entire saga. And we all know what happened last week, the meltdown on the sideline by Hardy with a special teams coach, knocked the clipboard from his hands. They traded shoves. Became confrontational with Devin Street, a wide receiver that Des Bryant got in his face. And after the game, the owner, Jerry Jones, came out and said, we don't have any problems. We believe Greg Hardy is a leader on this team.
Well, I think that comment is the one that kind of caught everybody's attention, referring to Greg Hardy as a leader. And I don't know how many people would agree with that comment.
Booted through the back of the end zone. So the Cowboys will start this drive from their own 20. Matt Castle makes his second start. After the Romo injury, they went 3 games, all losses with Brandon Wheaton. Castle threw interceptions on 3 consecutive possessions to begin the second half last week. Starts in his career with New England, the majority with Kansas City, and last year with Minnesota.
Well, he hadn't started a game in over a year going into that game last week, and I would have to believe that he's much more comfortable to start this game today.
Immediately they go after Sherman and trying to put it in the hands of Des Bryant, and it's incomplete. Second down and 10. McFadden had a monster game last week, his first big one as a Cowboy.
Yeah, he did, and we had a chance to visit with him on Friday, and he was sure excited about coming off of that performance. A lot of questions about, after he's had a heavy workload, how does he then come back the following week? He had not had more than 20 carries in 2 years going into last week's game. 29 carries in that game. He looked awfully good. They think they might have found something in him, but this is a tough defensive front to run the football against.
Play clock already down to 4. And the Cowboys are going to have to spend a timeout. Took a long time getting in and out of the huddle. Well, Jason Garrett has been asked about that whole Hardy situation. And for those of you that didn't see it, you had the outburst on the sideline involving a coach, a teammate, a pair of teammates. And Jason Garrett said after the games, those things happen. You want passion. Jerry Jones, as I mentioned, calls him a leader of the team. Hardy didn't want to talk about any of it. In fact, Jason Garrett saw it happening on the sideline and really decided not to do anything. Cowboys with the football for the first time after Seattle kicks a field goal on its opening possession.
Yeah, I think Jason Garrett off of that, Tom, said, more was being made of that outside the locker room than within. And, it's been on the news. I think anytime there's a physical altercation with an assistant coach, it's big news.
McFadden, his first carry. That's a good run. This is still a stingy, stout Seattle defense despite their collapses late in games so far this season.
Well, it's a veteran group. They've been in this defense a long time, and they know the scheme. They're not real complicated in what they do, but there are a lot of great players on this side of the ball. And I'll tell you what, they didn't admit to it, but they got embarrassed last year in that loss to the Cowboys, and I can guarantee you they're motivated to not let that happen again today.
Third down, they pitch it to McFadden, and he just barrels his way to a first down, runs right by and right through Kerry Williams.
That's a nice job. They bring out Lyle Collins, number 71, who's making his third start as a rookie there at left guard. He leads the way, and Darren McFadden, who did just about everything last week. He caught the ball, he showed speed, he showed toughness, he showed power, he finished runs, and a nice job there on third down, finishing a run for the first down.
Looking for a little bit of daylight, not much there. The Cowboys in that game against the Giants, I mean, they just dominated the line of scrimmage. They had 233 rushing yards. That's the most in a game by a Cowboys team, going all the way back to 2011. But the 3 interceptions were just a killer. We welcome many of you just joining us from around the country. We're better than midway through this opening quarter. Seattle a field goal on the first drive of the game. And now Dallas after a first down, getting a big run by Darren McFadden. A first down up to the 45-yard line. That'll be a gain of 12.
Well, Zach Martin here goes and takes out the middle linebacker, Bobby Wagner. And you see there's just nobody there then to play Darren McFadden. Excuse me, it was K.J. Wright, who that would be his gap to fill, but Zach Martin's able to get on him, and an excellent job of just hitting it inside. A lot of their successful runs last year were on the outside. Seattle's playing things a little bit differently now. Expect to see more of that inside run game.
Fake it to McFadden all day to throw and dump it off to McFadden. That's a gain of 9. Let's again send it back to Los Angeles to Mike Hill.
Guys, we had a wild one in New Orleans after a great punt return and 15-yard face mask. Cal Forbat, his first field goal attempt for the Saints from 50 yards out. Drew Brees with 7 touchdown passes in this game as the Saints win it 52-49. In overtime in Atlanta, Bucks up 3. Matt Ryan under pressure on 4th down, incomplete, and the Bucks get their 3rd win of the season. Guys, back to you.
How about that? So Atlanta has lost all of a sudden 2 of its last 3. Carolina unbeaten, sitting atop the division. McFadden tries to get to the first down mark where he only needed a yard. I'm not sure he got there. Wrapped up by K.J. Wright.
Look at that New Orleans game, and they come back. What a game that was. A lot of scoring. Those defenses, they didn't even have to shower after that one. But the Saints, who got off to a slow start, they've won 4 of their last 5 now. They're right back in the middle of it.
Boy, they looked bad early, didn't they?
Really bad. They haven't been able to play well at home, and it was always such a tough place to play. But it was a young team. We had them in the preseason, and they're starting to gain a little confidence, obviously. A big win today in a shootout.
Third down, less than a yard. McFadden is able to pick up the first down to the 43-yard line. Many may remember McFadden was the 4th overall pick back in 2008 out of Arkansas by the Raiders. And that's where he spent his first 7 seasons in the league. And really, it's been injuries that have plagued him throughout his career.
Yeah, and he came to Dallas, and he wasn't able to get much work in training camp because he was dealing with a hamstring injury then and weren't real sure what they had. And Joseph Randle, who had gotten his opportunity, and he's had some injuries here. He's not even suited up today, but they're waiting for somebody to take control of that position, and they feel like McFadden did it last week. And for the first time, Scott Linehan said that it felt like our running game from a year ago that was so successful, and they're off to a good start in this one.
Hey, this was a surprising spot of the football. It looked like McFadden, it must have been his knee that touched, because they're that much short. Witten, by the way, just limped off. That's not good news for Dallas.
He's been banged up too, and I talked to him before the game on the field, and he said this is the best that he's felt all year. So now he got rolled up. So right at the end of that play, he's been dealing with knee injuries, ankle injuries, yet he's been able to get out on the field and play, and I don't think for a minute that he's done it. I'm not surprised here that Jason Garrett is going for it. They've run the ball effectively. It's 4th down. You're at home. Show some confidence in this offensive line.
4th down and inches. And that's enough this time for the first down for McFadden.
Well, Lyle Collins, I talked about him and the job that he's done as a blocker in this game, and he comes off and does an outstanding job there in the middle of creating a running lane there for Darren McFadden. He's a big man. You talk about he's essentially a first-round pick. He was undrafted because of what came up before the draft, but first-round talent, 4 first-round picks essentially starting along that offensive line.
We saw K.J. Wright being helped to the Seahawks sideline. Many believe he's having his best season in this his 5th year. Tenth play of this drive. 1st and 10 at the Seattle 42. McFadden, a busy man, cuts it back to the inside. And inside the 40 to the 39.
Well, I keep going back to that game last year, Tom, and an offensive line that was young and really a lot left to be shown, improved. And they went into that game against the #1 run defense at the time in this Seattle defensive front, and they pounded them, and they beat them up pretty good, controlling the line of scrimmage. And right now, they're doing the same thing again. This offensive line very confident in their ability to move the football now.
Somebody else will gain yards besides McFadden. That's Terrence Williams and another Dallas first down.
Well, Terrence Williams, just a quick out. They've been getting the ball out of Matt Castle's hands quickly. He's making good decisions. Talking about Des Bryant, he draws Richard Sherman, and that's going to be a good matchup throughout this game. Two of the best in the game at what they do. Some of these other guys like Terrence Williams, they're going to get some real opportunities in this game.
This old school football here out of the I formation. And naturally they throw it out of the I to Williams. And he's down to the 19-yard line, wrapped up by Cam Chancellor.
I know that performance that Seattle had defensively against San Francisco 10 days ago now. They've had the chance to get rested. A little different going up against San Francisco and dominating that football team, and the one that they're facing here today, at least as far as the run game goes.
Jason Witten, by the way, is back in for the Cowboys, as is the backup tight end, James Hanna. Looked like early movement on the Cowboys line.
False start, number 68, offense. 5-yard penalty, second down.
It's Doug Free.
Doug Free, and this offense has had some false starts throughout the season that have really set them back at various times. They were ahead of the chains with second down, and a costly false start then on Doug Free that backs him up to 2nd and 10.
Better than 7 minutes being chewed up on this drive. 13th play. Castle, screen set up to McFadden. He had it, dropped it. Is that a live ball? Did he ever have control to call that a reception? And it's Seattle football.
Yeah, this one's really close as to whether or not he had made a football move or not. I think it was going to really come down to how it was ruled as to whether or not it would hold up. This will certainly be reviewed, but as you see, McFadden, when he gets it, he's got a couple steps before it comes out.
And subsequent fumble recovered by the defense. That ruling is under review.
It looked to me like he had it, Tom, that he had the ball in his hands, made a football move, and that's anybody's guess what that is, but I think this is going to be a fumble.
Today's game is sponsored by Southwest. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide.
The judiciary is back. Carl Chuffers, our referee.
After review, the receiver did not complete the process of the catch. It is an incomplete pass. It'll be 3rd and 10. Please set the game clock to 1:34.
That's a big call.
That's a huge call. Here it is in real speed, and the official, they see it as a fumble, and you go back and you review it, and it really was close. I thought it was close enough that whatever they had reviewed on the field, or whatever the call was made that was on the field, was what they were going to stick with, and overturned, but obviously very, very close. We talked to Mike Pereira, and he thought in real time as well, looking at it, that it probably should have been ruled incomplete, and that's what they came back with.
All right, so 3rd down and 10 at the Seattle 25-yard line. Four-man rush. That's short of a first down by about a yard. Does Jason Garrett go for it again on a 4th down, or does he take the easy money and come away with 3? It looks like the latter.
Yeah, I think so. It's a good yard for sure. I think this is the right decision by Jason Garrett and a good decision by Matt Castle. You know, at quarterback and going underneath to Jason Witten, and Seattle rallies to the football and is able to keep him short of the 1st down. But a good drive. They answer and come back with a field goal attempt of their own.
Dan Bailey, the NFL's all-time most accurate kicker. Perfect so far this year in 10 tries from 33 yards out. And this game is tied. Couple of very impressive drives. The Seahawks for 3, the Cowboys for 3.
Today's game is sponsored by the Ford F-150. Every other truck is history. And by Burger King. Introducing new Buffalo Chicken Fries, a better way to Buffalo.
Man, if you grew up as a kid in the 1970s watching NFL football, that pose right there by Tom Landry, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times you saw it. That guy was some kind of coach.
And then everything got commercialized. Now the coaches have to wear, NFL issued apparel. I wish they'd let these guys go back to wearing suits and ties.
I'm with you. Always so dapper and self-control. Just great football coach.
Today's game is sponsored by Bud Light. Make the right call. Drink responsibly.
Hey, it never gets old coming here to this just simply spectacular venue. In Arlington, Texas, each team impressive drives, although both having to settle for field goal attempts, successful ones. 3-3, under a minute to go in the opening quarter. Complete on 1st down with an eye on Ricardo Lockett, no relation to Tyler. Wilson on the opening drive hit on 4 out of 5 for 53 yards, and he connected with 4 different receivers.
Yeah, it's a good start really for both of these offenses. 2 70-yard drives, neither team able to finish it off, having to settle for field goals.
Lynch. But by a couple of Cowboy defenders, Hayden and Lee in on the tackle. Lee, of course, missed all of last year with that knee injury. And then his 2nd game back, he racked up 17 tackles, the NFC's Defensive Player of the Week against Philadelphia. That will more than likely be the final play of this opening quarter. A very important game. 2 teams under 500. 3-3 at the end of 1. Fox NFL Sunday returns after these messages and a word from your local Fox station. Well, at the end of the quarter, Jerry Jones presenting Charles Haley. Of course, he was an inductee to the Pro Football Hall of Fame just 4 months ago, but now a ring to go along with it.
Yeah, one of the great players and really one of the game's great characters. And I will tell you that he was always one of my favorite teammates. Good for him.
3rd down and 6. They're coming after Wilson. He throws incomplete. Got an eye on Tyler Lockett, and that's Brandon Carr in coverage. So a punt for the first time today for either team.
Yeah, they force a 3 and out. The Cowboys do, and now Dallas should get this ball with good field position. See if they're able to do something offensively here, but an outstanding job with that defense.
The sun is not a factor here today. The roof is closed, but sometimes coming in through the panels, it can be a factor on punts, but there really hadn't been a lot of sunshine all day today. John Ryan. Fair catch signaled for by Beasley, who muffed one last week. A big play in that game against the Giants. Dallas with the ball when we come back.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Nissan. Innovation that excites. And by Spectre. In theaters November 6th.
minute into the second quarter, not even a full minute into the second quarter. Plays, yards, time of possession almost identical. And the only numbers that matter are identical. 3-3. Dallas with the ball at the 22. McFadden dropped behind the line of scrimmage. Cliff Averill on the stop.
We go back. We talked about Des Bryant making his comeback since week 1. He has drawn Richard Sherman on just about every snap except for a couple, and you see the coverage that they've been able to get on him. So far, Castle has not been able to get the ball into his hands. Where Des Bryant has been able to not draw Richard Sherman is when he's lined up inside. The Seattle Seahawks have kept Sherman outside, which has allowed Des then to be on somebody else when he lines up in that slot position.
That's Hannah, backup tight end. One of 3 tight ends on his Dallas roster.
You know, Richard Sherman, he, obviously is one of the game's best, but they've had this philosophy here in Seattle that he just plays the left side, and rarely does he go with the opposing team's best wide receiver. This year they've done a little bit more of it. Against Cincinnati, after the game began, A.J. Green was hurting him. He then started covering him. And then last week against Torrey Smith of the 49ers, but Kerry Williams, the other corner, has struggled at times this year, so he's getting more opportunities. And I'll tell you, this matchup's worth the price of admission.
Third down at 12. Good protection. Dump it off to McFadden. And he will be denied first down yardage. Thomas, along with KJ Wright on the stop.
Well, last year in this game, the Cowboys with Tony Romo really hurt this defense, getting guys down the field and then checking the ball underneath, primarily to Lance Dunbar, who's on injured reserve right now. And Matt Castle is kind of staying true to that philosophy, but Seattle has been able to come up and make some stops and keep Dallas from converting on a couple of third downs, unlike what they were able to do a year ago.
Chris Jones on the punt. You always got to keep an eye on Lockett. This guy is some kind of talent. Fair catch. Juggled it momentarily, and Jones was standing right there, nose to nose. Tell you, what a day already in the National Football League. How about that? Eli was 6, Breeze was 7 touchdowns, a record. 4 consecutive games of 120 or more rushing yards for Todd Gurley. And the Cincinnati Bengals remain perfect. The 13 combined touchdown passes in a game, by the way, is an NFL record.
Yeah, that's good for the quarterback rating. And I'm surprised you didn't say your Cincinnati Bengals, right?
Are you rooting for them now? Your Cincinnati Bengals?
Your.
Stuffed behind the line of scrimmage. And Greg Hardy there on the stop. Everybody getting along early today.
Yeah, that's good by the quarterback. You want to go try to make friends, make nice with those pass rushers.
Know what you used to do with all those monsters from Philadelphia and the Giants through the years?
Yeah, but they didn't bite.
No, they didn't.
No.
Second down and 11. Crossing pattern, and Barry Church making plays. He's been doing that for a long time. Let's check in L.A. with Kurt Menefee. Hi, Kurt.
Hello, Tom. The Raiders trying to get to 500. David Carr hooking up with Andre Holmes. 2nd touchdown for Holmes. 3rd touchdown pass for Carr. They're up 21-3 on the Jets. Geno Smith in at quarterback for the injured Ryan Fitzpatrick, and he just got picked off by Charles Woodson, his league-leading 5th interception for Woodson.
3rd down and 9. Seattle 3 and out its last possession. Wilson has not been sacked in this game, but 31 times on the year. Good protection. And threw it behind the intended receiver. That was Graham, and he was open. Had a step on his defender. Good throw, and that's a first down.
Well, they got a chance. I mean, they get the matchup they want. Cowboys are locked up in man-to-man coverage, and then you've got Jimmy Graham working the middle of the field. A great call by offensive coordinator Darrell Bevell, and you're right. I mean, it's just a throw that was behind him. He's got to step on Byron Jones, and that's another matchup you're going to see throughout this game. Byron Jones, who was drafted this year, plays safety as well as corner, and he typically matches up against the game's tight end, and did a good job against Gronkowski earlier in the year, and now he's got Jimmy Graham.
Did that ball hit a Cowboy? I think it did, and another teammate had to cover it up, keeping that from being a turnover. They're signaling that the Cowboys have the football, but the question is, did this ball hit? It did. That's Corey White, and alertly, J.J. Wilcox covers it up.
During the kick, holding, number 57 return team. 10-yard penalty, first down, timeout.
They'll handle the penalty just to keep that football.
Today's game is sponsored by FanDuel, the leader in one-week fantasy football.
Each team a very impressive opening possession of this game. Each team coming away with field goals. But since then, the defenses are standing up a little bit.
We always talk about how they want to get the ball into Dez's hands quickly because he gets frustrated. Well, he hasn't caught a ball in 6 weeks, and he hasn't caught one yet in this ball game.
Well, you know, in reality, it's been even longer seemingly for him than that, because he missed all the training camp. He missed the entire preseason. He only played it in that season opener against the Giants, and that's when he broke the bone in his foot. Well,
one thing to keep an eye on is, because it's his right foot, when he lines up on the left side, the outside breaking routes are going to be what may be problematic. When he lines up on the right side of the offense, then the inside breaking routes are when he's going to be pushing off that right foot. Right now, he's on the right side of the offense, and anything that breaks inward, he's got to push hard off that right foot, and I think that's when you get a real sense as to how healthy he is.
2nd and 7, they'll stay on the ground. Cassius Marsh taking down McFadden. Tomorrow on FS1, Colin welcomes special guest Donald Trump to the Herd. That'll be good stuff. The Herd with Colin Cowherd tomorrow at noon Eastern on FS1. And if you miss it, we'll have the Trump interview tomorrow night at 8 o'clock Eastern time.
Boy, Cowherd, he's just bringing in the guests. I mean, you got Donald Trump and Peter Schrager,
Troy Aikman, all the big leaguers. They're down to 9. They're coming after Castle, who gets rid of it. Got an eye on Bryant. Sherman standing right next to it, knocks it away.
Yeah, he's fortunate on this one. Richard Sherman, as you're going to see, his inside technique. The ball's thrown inside. He has a chance to drive back on that ball and make a play on it. And Richard Sherman, it was a great job by Des Bryant playing defense. I mean, you'd think Sherman was the receiver and Bryant was the defensive back. But Sherman played wide receiver in college at Stanford, and there's not a defensive back in the game today that plays the ball as well as he does when it's in flight. It's an excellent job by Des Bryant making it incomplete.
Jones, a left-footed punter, did not catch that one cleanly, but it takes a pretty decent bounce. Let's see where they spot it at in the 35. First down, Seattle, of a 3-3 game. Well, last Saturday night during the Seahawks bye week, Russell Wilson getting a jump on Halloween through a costume party for his girlfriend, singer Sierra's 30th birthday. A couple dressed up as Batman and Catwoman rode in a Batmobile. I got to give it up to my man, though. Last night on Halloween, you're with your daughters. You went to a party where you dressed up, and I got to tell you, I wish we could put it on the air. You were looking good.
Oh, yeah, looking good. I went as a 70s hippie. I think a lot of people there thought I was Mark Stepnoski, my former son.
That's cool that you were in the whole Halloween spirit. That's good stuff. Wilson lofts down the sidelines, and Jones nearly came on to pick that one off. And Church is down. He's already hurting with a tender ankle. They wondered if he would even play in this game today. Barry Church, who's gone from rookie free agent to a starter, a devastating Achilles injury, and has led the team in tackles in each of the last 2 years. Looked like his teammate got him. Yep. Church appears to be okay. We'll keep an eye on him for the time being. He's on the sideline. Jeff Heath takes his spot on his 2nd down and 10 of a 3-3 game, under 9 minutes to go until halftime. Lynch running room. A 1st down and then some up to the 47-yard line.
We'll go back and take a look at the play that Barry Church got hurt on. But first you're going to see Jimmy Graham. He's running a deep crossing route, and these are some of the things that Seattle's been able to do to create some of the big plays. Play action, really good protection for Russell Wilson. A little late on the throw, unable to drive it. But they had a chance had the ball gotten out a little bit sooner to Jimmy Graham. But an excellent job. We talked about the offensive line being a concern coming in, but they've held up pretty well. They haven't asked a lot from them so far.
Young Thomas Rawls, a rookie out of Central Michigan. Boy, what a job he has done replacing an injured Marshawn Lynch. A pair of 100-yard rushing games for Rawls.
Boy, he has been impressive, Tom, an undrafted guy, and he got an opportunity in that Cincinnati game that we covered, and he looked awfully good in that one. And he had a 100-yard game before that. You know, they compare him a little bit, surprisingly enough, to Marshawn Lynch. I don't know that you can compare anybody to him, but they do because he's physical and he's tough and he finishes runs. But you know, he's got some real quickness to him too. They weren't sure he was going to be able to play today with that calf injury, but he's up and he got to carry on that last play.
Wide open down the middle of the field is Luke Wilson, the backup tight end. And a 1st down to the 32-yard line. That's only the 8th catch all year for Luke.
Well, it's well designed. When you got a safety in the middle of the field, the seam routes then become the weakness within the defense. And if you're able to get a guy past the linebacker level, it creates a hole for the quarterback to be able to drive it in. So Luke Wilson up the seam, and this is a guy who can really run and stretch the defense as well. So an offense here that had struggled after their opening drive. In fact, both offenses have. Seattle now starting to move the ball.
Into the hands of Rawls, and once again, no running room. Lawrence coming down the line to wrap him up. They dominated the 49ers a week ago, but the Seahawks had blown 4th quarter leads, well, going back to last year, in 6 of their previous 8 games. This year, just devastating defeats against Cincinnati. You did that game, and then a week later was against Carolina, 13-point 4th quarter lead. Seahawks have brought in a new center. It's been like a revolving door at that position all year long. Hardy unloads, Wilson gets it away, and the catch is made by Baldwin. Close to another 1st down. It is a 1st down.
Well, Greg Hardy, he uses a speed rush here against Alvin Bailey, and fortunately for Seattle, they've got a quick underneath throw, and Russell Wilson delivers it beautifully before taking the hit. That's some of the things that they've had to do with Russell Okung, their left tackle, out of the lineup, a 2-time Pro Bowler, and as you said to start this game, Tom, Bailey does not have a lot of experience in this league, and he's facing one of the game's best pass rushers.
Jean-Pierre was activated just this week. And now he's the center, and that's Wilson. Close to the end zone and in for the touchdown. He's replacing Barry Church, and they find a crease down the middle. Wilson's 1st score of the year.
Well, it's just what we saw a little bit earlier, that he's able to exploit that void in the zone. And you know, sometimes the Cowboys are best in man coverage, and when they get into some of these zone looks, they turn some guys free, and we've seen that now on consecutive throws to Luke Wilson right up the middle of the field.
Russell Wilson with his 9th touchdown pass of the year, and a touchdown in his 9th consecutive game. I think they're going to take a look at this. They have to review, they do review every scoring play And as our pictures gave you a look there a moment ago, did the knee come down, the hip come down before the ball crossed the plane of the goal line?
It looks to me, Tom, when this is a better look at it right here. It's pretty close, about an inch if he didn't make it. Yeah, that's awfully close. It's going to be hard to determine really whether or not they can overturn that. But boy, if they do overturn it and he is short, it's not going to be by much.
No. Well, let's check in back in Los Angeles with Mike Pereira. How did you see it there, young man?
The old butt rule here now is, when does the butt hit? Does it first touch the ground? Is the ball breaking the plane? That's going to be the question that they're going to have to answer when they look at it in New York and in Dallas. Watch when the rear end first hits.
That's about as close as he gets.
Awfully close.
Well, they're continuing to take a look. We'll step out. Still waiting on the final decision. Here we go.
The ruling on the field stands. Touchdown.
So the Seahawks come away with the game's first touchdown.
Yeah, from that angle right there, I mean, it looks short to me. I was surprised. That one angle we showed, it looked like he was clearly into the end zone, but then when we have that other angle that we just showed, I mean, he definitely looks short. So I was surprised that one wasn't overturned.
Going after is good by Stephen Hauschka. Ruled a touchdown. 10-3 Seahawks in front. You're watching the NFL on Fox, America's game of the week. Touchdown on the field for Luke Wilson. And confirmed by the replay official. 7 plays, 65 yards. And a 10-3 Seattle lead. Lucky Whitehead, the rookie out of Florida Atlantic, waiting on the kick from Hauschka. Going to check in with Mike Pereira here in a moment. I think we've been a little surprised, we meaning collectively, Mike, Troy, all of us, that we've seen the ruling on a couple of different calls so far today. And you know, Troy, we've talked a lot about this year. Mike, I'm curious, are there any trends, you know, as far as staying with calls on the field, that kind of thing, so far this year in the NFL?
Well, you know, there really is, Tom, and interesting that through week 7 last year, 38.4% of all replay reviews were reversed. This year it's up to 45%. So they're reversing more plays this year, which I find pretty interesting because that's really away from the norm.
Very interesting indeed. Castle all day to throw. Finds an opening, and that's Witten. You know, Mike, you sit here and you look at what our crew has right there. I mean, I guess the simple question is, how do you miss that?
Well, I agree. I think I would have reversed it based on that and put him down. But I think Troy said it right, and I agreed when I looked at it first. One angle looked like it was a touchdown, and then the other angle made it look short. And so, you know, clear and obvious is the terminology they're using now. And I'm less inclined to be upset if they stay with a close call on the field.
Gotcha. That is Kristen Michael, the former Seattle Seahawk, who carries for the first time in this game. You know, he spent 2 years with Seattle, originally a second-round draft choice. Played in 14 games over 2 years, so never really saw much of the field.
Yeah, a talented guy who you said they drafted him, and you know, a Texas kid. The Cowboys needed a running back. They make a trade. They bring him in. He yet has, you know, really realized his potential, but thought we were going to see more of him last week against the Giants. McFadden was playing so well, they just kept him in the game.
Castle, flushed out of the pocket. He'll run, got a block from McFadden, and slides down to the 43-yard line. That's pretty nifty footwork. by the 35-year-old Matt Castle.
Yeah, it is, and it looked like he was about to get blown up, and as you said, Darren McFadden comes in at the end and allows Matt Castle to stay upright. I thought he was going to go to the ground right there, but Darren McFadden comes in on Shed and makes a play, and a nice gain there by Matt Castle.
Cowboys first down since that opening drive when they marched down the field. Sun starting to become a little bit of a factor. First time we've seen it all weekend. Drops by Michael. Oh, we were talking about Castle, and you may remember he played for Pete Carroll at USC. He was a backup to Heisman Trophy winners Carson Palmer and Matt Leinart.
Well, it's pretty crazy. You know, the guy had not started a college game before being drafted by the New England Patriots, and the career that he's gone on to have. But when he was at SC backing up Carson Palmer and Matt Leinart, he was running down kicks, playing special teams, playing tight end, scout team. He'd do it all.
Michael looking to cut back. Does. Wrapped up to the 40. It'll bring up 3rd down and 5. You know, Castle, Troy mentioned, drafted by New England in 2005 after being a backup at USC his entire career. Took over for an injured Tom Brady in New England, led him to a 10-win year, went to Kansas City, went to a Pro Bowl, finally turned him loose 3 years later. Minnesota got some starts before breaking his hand, or his foot, beg your pardon, last year. Then to Buffalo, and then when Romo went down, Dallas made the trade to bring him in.
Yeah, it was a good trade too at the time. They had confidence in Brandon Weeden when he took over, but a good pickup being able to fall back to him.
3rd down and 5. He's going to run it again. Flag down. He has enough for a first down to the 29. We'll see if it stands. How about that? A little emotion from Mr. Castle. And this penalty appears to be against Seattle.
Holding. Number 35 defense. That 5-yard penalty will be added to the end of the play, automatic. First down.
That's Deshaun Shed.
Well, Matt Castle, he has shown an ability when he has to, and he has an open field that he's going to take it. And when Seattle's in man coverage like they are there, nobody then accounting for the quarterback, and he's able to pick up nice yardage once again. And there's the call that they made on Deshaun Shed against Cole Beasley. I don't know if I agree with that one.
So a 24-yard run. That's a career long for Castle on this drive. And then that one just went for 12 yards. 2-minute warning. Cowboys on the move. Cowboys on the move. Get apps, videos, and more at iTunes.com/NFL. Castle excited after rumbling for 12 and getting a first down. He has 36 yards rushing on this drive alone. McFadden to throw. And he had an open Hannah, but overthrowing his first pass attempted this season.
It was interesting. I saw during the commercial break that there was a lot of discussion going on that sidelines, and Des Bryant was in the middle of that, and I halfway expected Des to be involved in some kind of play. You know, here's Darren McFadden, ran a little bit of wildcat there at Arkansas. There was pressure right from the beginning as you see Clark come in and lay him out, and these running backs, obviously, they're just trying to lay it up and give their guy a chance, but there was pressure in the backfield to start that play, and never really had much of a chance.
118! 22!
Michael breaks one tackle and able to get to the, really back to the original line of scrimmage. Halftime's coming up. Brought to you by Visa. How about it, Kurt Menefee?
All right, Tom, coming up on the Visa Halftime, we'll get you all caught up on a very busy day of football.
And what America wants. More me!
Hey, Mama! Uncanny, huh? It looks just like you.
Oh, gosh.
Some early game headliners. Carson Palmer and the Cardinals go into Cleveland, Ohio. Palmer 4 touchdown passes. Gurley, what a story he is after that devastating knee injury, wiping out his final year at Georgia, and Odell Beckham Jr. getting loose in the Big Easy.
There's some fantasy owners pretty happy with those 3 performances.
You got any of those guys?
No.
That's the way your season's been going.
My GM's got to pick it up.
Or get run. 3rd and 10. Crossing pattern, McFadden through the 17, but that's where this drive apparently will stall, although that field goal unit not sprinting out there quite yet.
Yeah, they're not rushing Dan Bailey out right now, are they? I think they've got to settle for the field goal here, as tempting as it is to go for it, but well, they're sitting. The
Seahawks are going to spend a timeout. Bailey, after a delay, started to make his way out onto the sideline, and
he's on his way back.
Now here he comes again.
Yeah, this is the right call, and pretty interesting the way this first half has gone. Seattle opens up the game, they take it down, they come away with a field goal. Dallas answers. Offense has struggled for the next few possessions with some 3 and outs, and then Seattle puts together a drive and they get a touchdown, and Dallas is answering on this one, but gets slowed down there on 3rd down and having to settle for a field goal.
Des Bryant. And oh, can you believe this? After a timeout, the Seahawks are caught with too many men on the field, and this will be a 1st down, if indeed that is the call. If it's the call. How does this happen after a timeout? Now the question is, did they get the timeout?
Seattle cannot call a timeout.
Can't take 2 in a row.
Yeah,
there's no foul on the play. Seattle cannot call a timeout. We'll attempt the field goal.
Jason Garrett wants an explanation.
He definitely wants an explanation. As Seattle had too many men on the field and obviously couldn't get the timeout called, and yet the officials shut it down.
Well, Jason Garrett is really upset, and you can understand why. That would have been an automatic 1st down. Instead of 35-yard field goal try, Bailey is close to automatic as it gets. Pete may have caught a break. Well, I'm sure Jason Garrett would have picked up the phone maybe on Monday and wanted a full explanation from Mike Pereira. Mike, what do you think they told him happened over there?
Well, what they did is they told him that they erred. They should have ignored the request that came from Seattle, since it would have been the 2nd consecutive timeout. But since they stopped the clock, then they have to eat their own air. There's nothing that can be done after that. And, you know, he's got the legitimate gripe, but the officials erred in that situation by stopping the clock, but nothing can be done.
Well, I guess that's a big hang with him then for Jason Garrett and the Cowboys.
Well, I don't think Jason Garrett has still gotten an explanation that he's pleased with, because as he sees it, and I don't know how well they've explained it to him, is that he knows that they'd already used a timeout. So, you know, trying to stop the clock a 2nd time and being unable to do so. Seattle caught a break.
You know, and coming up later tonight, after football, it'll be Game 5 of the World Series. Of course, the Kansas City Royals a chance to close it out behind right-hander Edinson Volquez, who sadly lost his father just before pitching Game 1 of this World Series. Kansas City winning that game. They beat Matt Harvey. Harvey was not hung with that loss. He's pitched very well in this postseason. Mets have their top 3 going the final 3, hoping to rally from 3-1 down.
Well, Seattle with a 1.5 minutes and 1 timeout. I'm sure they're going to try to get as much out of this as they can.
Going to try a 1st down run to Lynch. Allows his way to the 36 and a flag down on the play.
Illegal shift. Offense. 2 players were in motion and did not reset prior to the snap. 5-yard penalty. 1st down.
You know, Troy, I want to follow up on what you just said. I don't want to belabor and beat down on the officials all the time. But look, Well, they're going to take a quick look at Greg Hardy was shaken up on that play. But, you know, everybody in the building knows that Seattle had taken a timeout after the play before. I don't think it's unreasonable to ask the officiating crew to know that Seattle had just taken a timeout and that they're trying to do something that they're not allowed to do, which is take 2 in a row. I mean, they really got away with a very important play right there.
Well, they got a break. They got their guys off the field, and you know, as Mike Pereira said, that the officials, you know, should not have granted the stoppage of the clock to inform Pete Carroll, hey, you've already called timeout. So they caught a break. The clock did get stopped. They allowed players to get off the field. More importantly right now for Dallas is they've got their best pass rusher who's hobbling off the field. And take a look at it and see exactly what happened. Looked like maybe his ankle or something got rolled up at the end of that last play. But this is a team that has just been decimated by injuries throughout this year.
Boy, you even go back to training camp when they lost their, arguably, I guess, their best cornerback in Orlando Scandrick. They had suspensions to Hardy and McClain. They have played nearly a third of this season, over a third of this season, basically without Romo, Des Bryant. And they've lost 4 in a row. Lynch out of the backfield. Took a big shot from Sean Lee, and he's up to the 24.
Well, we'll see how Seattle wants to play this. You know, they ran the ball in that first down play where they had the penalty, and a lot of times offenses will run the ball, try to get into the hurry-up offense, and then work to the line of scrimmage. But the penalty put them behind, and so right now, depending on what happens here on second down, will determine if they're going to continue to go for it.
Wilson just did get it away before being sacked. Big pressure that time by Jeremy Mincy. Clock continues to run down to 45 seconds. A third down coming up.
And Jason Garrett, he's being a little conservative here. You know, do you call the timeout and force them to do something on third down and give the ball back to your offense, and you know, or do you let the clock run and maybe let time run out on Seattle's offense? He's decided to let it run.
Wilson steps up, throws, incomplete. So by not spending a timeout, they probably lost a chance of about 15 additional seconds at the very minimum there after the second down run. A third down incompleted pass. We'll never know. Seattle would have gone in that direction had they spent a timeout.
Well, now with the incompletion, as you said, and there's 20 seconds, but Seattle felt obviously that they could convert on third down even though they're backed up. Not much time to work with, but had they have run the ball, then they run the time down. 20 seconds, obviously not much time left here on fourth down for Dallas to work with.
Beasley, a fair catch at the 30, so you have 13 seconds left. And there's an injured Seahawk, and they come sprinting off the Seattle sideline. It's Ricardo Lockett. A huge collision with Heath.
That's a big time hit right there, and he's out. You hope he's okay, and everybody went running out there immediately. And you know, we see these collisions in the kicking game, whether it's on kickoffs or punts, as it was there. And big time collisions that they've eliminated from everything else within the game. But these are violent hits that happen in the kicking game that we continue to have.
A number of the Seahawks coming over along with the head coach Pete Carroll. Fox Sports is proud to team up with the Movember Foundation and their commitment to changing the face of men's health. Join us at moteam.co/fox-sports to learn more about how we're getting involved and how you can get involved in the Movember movement.
Well, both benches cleared. It went from a lot of guys gathered around Lockett to then both benches emptying out onto the middle of the field. Meanwhile, haven't seen anything from Lockett at this time.
And Lockett still on his side. He is basically not moved since a very, very, very violent collision. Mike Pereira, anything in your estimation out of the ordinary on that hit besides just a big hit?
No, you just you look at it and you hate to see these, and you know, say got upset. You know, what could it be? Is it a blind side block? It is not. It's coming from the front, and in fact, really Lockett lowers his head into the shoulder. So there's really nothing illegal about it. But Troy's right. The most violent collisions still happen in the kicking game, which is why, for example, we're kicking off now from the 35-yard line, and over 50% of the kickoffs result in touchbacks because of the concern for the violent collisions there. Not so sure what you can do in the punting game, but you just hate to see this.
Boy, do you ever.
Well, there was talk at one time about eliminating kickoffs, you know, from the game, and obviously kickers have something to say about that. But to me, when you start looking at how do we make the game safer, the low-hanging fruit is the kicking game, you know, as to what can you do then to minimize and eliminate completely those collisions that happen within the kicking game. And this was on a punt. Kickoff coverages are oftentimes even more severe with the collisions that take place. But I think that's going to be the next step with our game, is we're going to not see a lot of these plays that we now have within the kicking game.
And, you know, I'll tell you, Troy, it's interesting on kickoffs, too. You know, they examined the three-man wedge and four-man wedge situations that we had, where there were a lot of significant injuries that were occurring from those, and they eliminated that and said you would go to just a two-man wedge only. You know, they've talked about punt plays. What can you do? You know, you hold people at the line of scrimmage. Only the two outside guys can go downfield. Is there anything that can be done to release people earlier so you don't get these violent collisions? Not sure. But anytime you see something like this, the one thing I will say is the competition committee looks at all of these major injuries, and they look to see if there's anything that they can do. And they did that with the kickoff. And I'm sure they'll discuss it in punts this coming off season also.
Hey, Mike, we're just being made aware that they are calling a personal foul, an illegal blindside block on Jeff Heath on this play.
Well, I saw that flag. I saw that pop up, but again, I don't see. I mean, I saw the late indication pop up on the screen, but I don't see where you can put it. To me, it's not blindside. He actually saw it coming and lowered his head. Now, you have to be going parallel or back towards your own inline, and sometimes you get caught up with the violence of the collision, but I don't see that it really is an illegal blindside block.
Well, first and foremost, the thing all of us are doing right now is saying a prayer for Ricardo Lockett. This is very, very troubling stuff. Lockett in his third season out of Fort Valley State. Went undrafted. Seahawks gave him a chance, and he's earned his way into their starting lineup. And while we have a moment, let's check in with Kurt Menefee in Los Angeles.
All right, just one other game going on right now, so we figured we'd update you on that. That's the Jets trying to come back against the Raiders. Geno Smith in for the injured Ryan Fitzpatrick. Hooks up with Eric Decker. The touchdown makes it 28-13. Oakland in firm control. But now let's get it back to Dallas, where everybody's thoughts are with Ricardo Lockett, a very popular guy in that Seahawks team, and a guy who's really made that team in large part because of his coverage ability. So tough to watch him get hurt on a play like that.
Obviously, if we get any update on Ricardo Lockett's condition. We will share it with you immediately. We know that these young men are taking this field in a very violent game every single week. We know they have family watching the game on television. These are sons, these are fathers, these are brothers, and these are sisters. We cheer them on like crazy when they play for your favorite team, but we never lose sight of that, especially when we see moments like this.
You can see the concern on everybody's part, and both medical staffs went out there to tend to him, and our prayers are with him.
Yes, they are. He's moving his hands. It's the first time we've seen him do that. Well, that'll certainly give your spirits a rise immediately. No one is praying harder for him than he. Oh boy. Yes, indeed, young man. That's very encouraging. We hope we have good news to officially give you shortly. Mike, we understand you spoke with Dean Blandino from the head of NFL officials who has your old gig.
Yeah, I did talk to him, and we were talking about the blindside blocks and how this has become such a player safety issue that it's almost like a defenseless player thing in regard to, even though the player that's blocked, if he lowers his head, he's still really the responsibilities of the defenders to avoid. I don't think he thinks it's a real strong call, and we're all so worried about the condition of the player, but it has been a strong point of emphasis, the blindside blocks.
All right, Mike, thanks for all your help. We go to Kurt Menefee in Los Angeles for the Visa halftime. 10-6, Seattle leads Dallas at halftime. Excitement brought to you by Nissan. And that was today's excitement brought to you by Nissan. Very much looking forward to this second half. 10-6 Seattle in front. Luke Wilson with the game's only touchdown. You take a look at the numbers. Cowboys 135 total yards. Seattle with 154. The overwhelming majority for each team occurred on their first drive of the game. Both coming away with field goals, and then after 3 and out on 3 consecutive drives for each team, Seahawks get a touchdown, and the Cowboys have to settle for a field goal. Second start for Matt Castle after taking over for Brandon Whedon. And at halftime, the Dallas Cowboys all-time leading tackler, Darren Woodson, he's holding the cup there, inducted into the Dallas Cowboys' highest honor of all, the Ring of Honor. Troy Aikman, you're catching your breath as you come racing back up after being on the field for the ceremonies. And of course you are in the Ring of Honor, and an old teammate now joins you.
Yeah, well deserved by Darren Woodson, and his speech went a little longer than planned, but I made it up here.
You did. You want to go back and get a little oxygen or a little bottle of water or something before we get going?
They sit out a couple series here.
You're not allowed. We need you. Arrive the big donkey. Catch your breath while we send it down to Peter Schrager.
Hey guys, quick update on Ricardo Lockett. They're calling it a concussion. He has full movement, which is great news. He's being brought to a hospital. Seahawks were intense there in the halftime. They want to get out there and play these Cowboys. As for the Cowboys, Jason Garrett had an extended amount of time talking to the officials, was not happy with some of those calls. I said, did you get an explanation? He goes, yeah, all 3 of them had different things to say.
Most importantly, prayers answered indeed on that report. about Ricardo Lockett.
No question. Great news on that. Relief for everyone.
First down, throw and catch to McFadden. That'll be a gain of 11 on first down. McFadden has been the most productive player on the field for the Cowboys. Des Bryant without a catch in the first half. Castle threw for less than 100 yards, 72, but he did run for 35. Very quiet, but tight game.
Well, it's a close game. It's pretty much what we expected. Both these defenses have been playing good. It's the strength of certainly of the Seattle Seahawks, and without Romo offensively and going up against this group, not going to be a lot of yards.
McFadden straight ahead and no running room. A gain of 1.
I think this is a big possession right now for this early in the second half for this defense. I was down on the field, as you said, Tom, and I went through the Seattle Seahawks bench to get back up here, and I tell you, they're pretty focused from what I can tell, and they're ready to play. And we heard Peter Schrager's report there at halftime. A lot of intensity, the way that half ended, the injury then to Ricardo Lockett. They're pretty jacked up, and you know they'll lose a lot of that if they don't make a good defensive stand here on this opening possession to start this half.
I mean, let's face it, both of these teams, they need a win. Rolling Castle, he's going to run it again, and again he will pick up first down yardage to the 42-yard line. Who would have ever thought that the leading rusher for the Dallas Cowboys would be Matt Castle, and that in such a game they would only be trailing by 4 points.
Well, a lot of the matchups that the Seattle Seahawks like to run is they're going to try to keep from giving up the big play, get underneath the intermediate routes, and it does open things up then for a quarterback if you're able to get on the edge. And when they're in their man coverages, things open up in the middle. And for Matt Castle, he's done a nice job of taking advantage.
McFadden. That's a pretty nice run right there. Didn't appear to be much for him, and he's able to dive up to the 48-yard line.
Well, he does a great job of showing patience on that run as we look at Greg Hardy and you'll see what his status is going to be. They came back and reported that it's probable that he'll return with a knee injury, and that'll help that defense. Of course, we talk about what he's able to do as a pass rusher. He's made a real impact on that defensive group in that area since he came back.
McFadden again. Stood up at the 50 by Cam Chancellor. Chris Richard, first-year defensive coordinator. Last 3 years was the defensive backs coach under Pete Carroll. He played defensive back for Carroll at USC. In fact, before his final practice in 2001, Carroll brought him in and said, "What do you want to do with your life?" He said, "I want to play football." But he said he knew at that moment when his football days were over that he wanted to coach. And here he is coaching for the man he played for at Southern California.
Well, the way it's gone for these other defensive coordinators in Seattle, he'll be a head coach here within a couple of years.
Third down. McFadden out of the backfield, slips a tackle from Wagner, and he's down to the 39-yard line. A Dallas first down.
Well, Castle's trying to get the ball down the field, but they cover it up pretty nicely, and you're going to see as McFadden comes out of the backfield, great protection up front. He's able to just come underneath and check it down. When you get that kind of protection and you're able to look at the field, and even like Seattle getting underneath, playing good coverage, it's hard to cover everybody, and if you're patient as Castle has been, you're going to be able to move the ball.
McFadden's a guy that might need the oxygen. He just falls down at the 32-yard line after a gain of almost 9. Well, he's going to get a breather.
Yeah, there's some bad tackling on that play, but right now this offensive line is starting to create some space for this running game. And I go back to last year, a lot of those 3-4 yard runs in the first half started turning into 8, 9, and then breaking big gains. And this drive is starting to look a little bit like that, the way that they've been able to run the football here with McFadden.
Right 20!
They play the drive. Michael spells McFadden and picks up the first down. In that game last year, it was, just staying with DeMarco Murray. Carry after carry after carry. He got it 29 times for 115 yards. Randall carried for 52 yards. And that's against what has been the best defense in the NFL the last 3 years.
Well, we talked about it earlier that offensive coordinator Scott Linehan said last week against the Giants, it was the first time that as the play caller, he felt like they were running the football, controlling the line of scrimmage the way they did a year ago. He's got to be feeling the same way right now with this drive, and they'll keep feeding the ball to McFadden.
Fake it to Michael, looking to the corner for Bryant. The coverage can't get any better by the Pro Bowler Sherman. Bryant still without a catch.
He hasn't had a lot of opportunities. They try a slant and go, and Richard Sherman's just in great position, and we see that a lot from Dez Bryant. He's so much more athletic than typically the corner he's going up against, and he's able to go up and make, those kinds of plays when the ball's up in the air. But Richard Sherman, he's 6'3" himself, so he's an athlete that matches Dez Bryant. Two great athletes out there making a play.
So Scott Linehan takes a shot on first down. They'll get it back into the hands of McFadden. Flag down. Big collision. And McFadden stays on his feet somehow, gets inside the 10, but will it come back?
Illegal motion, number 13 offense. That player was going forward at the snap. 5-yard penalty. Replay second down.
That's a rookie Whitehead.
It's a costly penalty, a big gain, and you got McFadden. We're going to see the motion by him, and as he turns up the field to make the crackback block, they call it. And here's Earl Thomas, who comes in, puts a big lick on him, but he doesn't wrap up at all. And McFadden impressed me last week with the way he ran the ball, and he's impressing me again against an outstanding defensive unit, the way he's finishing these runs, showing some real toughness.
So wipe off the big game. Second down and 15. Batted down at the line of scrimmage. It looked like Jordan Hill. Hill inactive against San Francisco last week with a quad injury.
There's the two of them right there. And, Dez Bryant just has not been able to really create any separation. This time, Castle's trying to drive the ball down the field. Seattle doing a good job. So costly penalty then on the Cowboys with what looked to be an exceptional gain by McFadden, and now they're staring at a 3rd and 15.
And here on third down, they have the rookie out of Ohio State who just left Seattle to come to the Cowboys, and Rod Smith. And that's who Castle was looking at, as once more the ball is tipped at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, the Seattle defensive front, realizing they're not getting there, they go up and make a play on it, and just a good job, benefiting by the penalty then on the Cowboys. And right now we've talked about how good Dan Bailey is, and he's got a heck of a leg. This is within his range, but you'd say that this is no gimme, but they've all been gimmies when it comes to Dan Bailey.
He's not missed this year. 12 out of 12. He's hit from 51, missed from 52. Boy, this guy is a weapon. Hammer. That would have been good from 62. As McFadden goes back into the locker room. 8:51 to go in the third. It's a 1-point game.
This game on Fox is sponsored by Southwest. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. By Burger King, introducing new Buffalo chicken fries, a better way to Buffalo. By AT&T, mobilizing your world. And by the Ford F-150. Every other truck is history.
Welcome back to AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas. 8:51 to go in the third quarter. Seattle 10, Dallas 9. Short kick. Sprinting up to get it is Tyler Lockett. Barry Church makes a tackle at the 25. So Russell Wilson and the Seahawks get it for the first time in this second half when we return. Told you Greg Hardy, we saw him leave in the first half with what we later learned was a left knee injury. His return probable, and now it's absolute. He's on the field. First play from scrimmage for the Seahawks here in the second half. Fake it one way, roll the other way. Catch is made by Jimmy Graham. Dallas trying to strip the football away, and again we go back to a Dallas defense that in only one of their 6 games this season have they taken the football away from the opposition. All 3 takeaways occurred in the second game of the year against Philadelphia.
Yeah, in a game like this, when you're looking at a 10-9 ball game, as close as it has been, the way these offenses have, not moved the ball particularly consistently, turnovers are going to be a real key in this ball game.
Read option there by Wilson. And that's the way you're supposed to play it if you're the Dallas defender, DeMarcus Lawrence. That is textbook on the read option.
Yeah, he does an outstanding job of playing the dive man and still stringing it out. As you see, he keeps his shoulders square to the line of scrimmage and makes Russell Wilson make a decision, and then he's fast enough, more importantly, to be able to make a play. That's, we've all seen Russell Wilson over the years. There's not many guys who run him down once he's got a little bit of a step, but it's an excellent job. Rod Marinelli's pleased.
It's a big third down. Dallas trying to get its offense back on the field. Down the sideline. Penalty flag comes in, or does it? Saw something. Apparently not. It's 3 and out for Seattle offensively. Troy, we're not in the fourth quarter yet, but we've talked already about the leads that were blown in the fourth quarter in all 4 of their losses by this Seattle team this year. And the first thing a lot of people want to do is blame the defense. Now, they're in part to blame, but their offense is also in part to blame for not being able to get first downs and ice games away when they do have possession. Still got a long way to go in this one. Beasley returns it to the 20. 10-9 in the third.
Game is sponsored by Microsoft Surface, the official tablet of the NFL.
Hard-hitting defensive battle thus far. Church has been shaken up in the game already. Came in with a wounded ankle. Has played the entire game outside of a play here and there. That's a catch by Des Bryant, his first of the game. And I mean, Sherman on him right now for a loss.
That is a great play by Richard Sherman. You're going to see him work through the block of Terrence Williams, and he's cluing into Matt Castle. He sees it, recognizes it immediately, and goes right through the block and makes a play then on Des Bryant. It's an outstanding job. He is he's obviously a great cover corner. He's also a guy who will stick his face in there and make a tackle. And there's not a lot of guys that cover like he can that are that willing to tackle a guy like that.
Best run of the day by Michael, as McFadden had to leave, we understand, to get some fluids, suffering from dehydration. And so an 8-yard carry on a 2nd and 12 by his replacement, Michael. It's 3rd and 4.
Well, they make it a manageable third down now, for the Cowboys. Neither one of these teams have been particularly good on third down, and that's why they've had a hard time sustaining drives.
Everything pretty conservative. Only once throwing the long ball. Third down, coming after him. And Bryant, a reception and a first down. And he'll strut his way back to the huddle.
Well, Seattle does not blitz a lot, but Chris Richard, he dials it up. So they got one-on-one. They got a free rusher in Matt Castle's face. Des Bryant is running a pivot route. Once he gets Richard Sherman running, he's able to then plant. That's his left foot too, by the way. He's not planting and stopping on the broken foot that he had, and able to come back out of that route and create some separation. But a good job by Matt Castle, hanging in there under pressure and delivering a good ball.
Saw McFadden is checked back into the game. And he'll get the ball. Try to lower the shoulder on Bobby Wagner, who stands up McFadden. Well, the best football game in America this Thursday is on FS1. Number 2 Baylor. What an offense, taking on K-State. The only place to see all the action, Thursday night on FS1.
Dez, I'll tell you that thought he'd be limited a little bit. He's been on the field actually a lot more today than I had thought he would be.
Into the hands of Whitehead. They ran him 4 times in the game last week, and K.J. Wright saw that coming.
Yeah, K.J. Wright plays that beautifully. You're right. They ran that play a couple times last week against the Giants and had some big plays off of it, got some first downs, and K.J. Wright, he sees it and plays it beautifully.
So another 3rd down. We're under 4 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter. Cowboys without Bryant have lost 4 in a row. He's been on the field for all but 10. Looking for Bryant, and it's incomplete. Castle took a big, and a flag comes in late. Castle took a huge hit as he started to throw that ball, which is why it was underthrown.
Number 88 offense. That penalty's declined. 4th down.
It's on Bryant.
Well, it was a good play by Des Bryant, because otherwise this ball's intercepted. Here's the hit. Cliff Averill, he just gets a free run on Castle, and you know, this is what we've talked about. You see the way Richard Sherman is able to locate the ball in flight and make a play on it. Just, you see it every week. Corners just unable to locate the ball in press coverage. He does, and for the 2nd time today, Dez is playing defense and breaks up an interception.
Tyler Lockett waiting on the punt from Chris Jones. They'll let it bounce. And the Cowboys will cover it up inside the 5. Troy Aikman, what do you remember most about Darren Woodson?
Well, I remember when we brought him in 1992. He was a 2nd-round pick out of Arizona State, and he was a linebacker in college. And when Jimmy Johnson drafted him, you know, we moved him to safety, and he was one of those guys who could match up. I don't want to say he was before his time, but it's the type of safeties you see in the league now, to where he could match up against some of the game's best receivers. He played the slot defense, defensive slot nickel position as well, and a great athlete and really just a great guy. I texted him earlier today congratulating him, and hey, a great player, but I said, you know, the best part was that you carry yourself with class, and he always has, and he gave quite a speech there at halftime.
He really did, being inducted into the Cowboys Ring of Honor. Some may know, some may not know. I did not know until we heard about him going in today at halftime. He is the Dallas Cowboys all-time leading tackler. Boy, that's saying something.
Well, and I'll tell you what else is saying something is that when Bill Parcells came in as the head coach, he was Woodson's, 4th head coach, and he became a Parcells guy, and we know what that means. That, you know, he had the toughness and the grit and the coachability that Parcells treasures, and he became one of his guys, which says a lot.
Lynch, back-to-back carries, leading to a 1st down.
We got helmets flying off, and you know, you look at Seattle offensively on how this day has gone for them, and it's really a lot like the way the year has gone for them. They either get it going and they come away with some points, or they're 3 and out and you know, punting the football back to the Cowboys. And you know, this is an offense. Obviously, we all know about the offensive line issues. Pete Carroll Heck, he's tired of talking about it, but when they can't run the ball effectively, this is an offense that really struggles, and they've not two good runs there by Marshawn Lynch, but they haven't been able to consistently get that part of their game going.
Blitz coming. Jimmy Graham up to the 30-yard line. That'll move the chains. Wilson has not been sacked in the game so far today.
They get Jimmy Graham out on Morris Claiborne, a corner, and he runs a good route, and they put it on him. And you talked about the game that Jimmy Graham had against Carolina a couple weeks ago, and yeah, they got him a little more involved. A lot of those big plays, Tom, were off of Russell Wilson, creating plays, buying time, and getting the ball down the field. And that's how so many of those big plays have come. But a pass rush that we expected to do more from the Cowboys has been a non-factor so far.
Once again, getting rid of the football quickly is Wilson, and again he finds Graham. That's his 4th catch today.
Well, Alvin Bailey is doing a decent job as we see that he's able to at least slow Hardy up, but more importantly, Russell Wilson knows he's got to get the ball out of his hands. He takes a hit, but this is a tough game to call for offensive coordinator Darrell Bevell when you've got a backup at left tackle against Greg Hardy and a line that has been struggling against some of these pass rushers, and yet they haven't given up a sack. And now Will Tukuafu,
false start, number 46,
has a false
offense.
start.
5-yard penalty remains. 2nd down.
So 2nd and 1 becomes 2nd and 6.
There's a look at Darrell Bevell there, and look, we talk about Jimmy Graham and how do you incorporate him more into the offense. When you look at his numbers on how many times he's been targeted through the first 7 games compared to the number of times targeted last year in New Orleans, it's just about 1 target less per game. And so for a team that doesn't throw the ball any more than Seattle does, I think they've tried to get him the ball plenty.
Four-man rush, batted into the air. Hardy intercepts it, and he's to the 15-yard line. The first Dallas defensive takeaway since the 2nd week of the season in Philadelphia.
Well, it came at a great time for the Cowboys. Alvin Bailey, knowing it's a screen, is trying to get Greg Hardy on the ground. He's going to go low on Greg Hardy, but Hardy is able to keep his feet, bat the ball up, and then locate it. Just an athletic play by Greg Hardy to come away with the interception and give the ball to this offense with great field position.
That is the first interception in the career of Hardy. Came into the league with Carolina. Suspended nearly the entire season last year, first 4 weeks of this year. And this is his 3rd game since coming off the suspended list. He had 3 sacks and now a batted ball and an interception. And you can talk from now until next week about what you think about Hardy as a man, but it cannot be denied that he can play football. End of the 3rd quarter. Dallas trying to take the lead. Fox NFL Sunday returns after these messages and a word from your local Fox station. Big takeaway, the first in 290 snaps by the Cowboy opponents going back to week 2 against Philadelphia. And it's Hardy who takes it away. Cowboys trying to get the lead for the first time. Missed throw there to Beasley.
They get a nice gain there on 1st down, and they come out and try to get a quick pass to Cole Beasley and really outflank the defense, but they read it pretty good. They were in a good position to defend it even if he had caught the ball. So now they're looking at a 3rd and 6. This would be a great defensive stop. Pretty demoralizing possession for the Cowboys if they're unable to come away with a touchdown and have to settle for what would be their 4th field goal of the game.
This is normally situations where you start looking around for number 82. But right now, Matt Castle's going to spend a timeout. This is a very important play in this game. And you know, Troy, we talked coming into this one where Cowboys have lost 4 games in a row. And we know the injuries to Romo and Bryant have as much to do with that as anything else. A lot of teams in the league, though, are hurt. The question is, how many wins can you find between now and the time Romo comes back? Giants lost again today, so it's not like anybody in their division is boat racing the pack.
Well, that's why I think they have hope. You know, that in a typical year, someone in the East would be taking control of this division. And I think this Cowboys team would have looked entirely different here over the last 4 games if Romo, in fact, were healthy. So the Cowboys are fortunate they're in a weak division right now, but I've said it many times, I don't think even if they go winless without Romo that they're going to be out of it. Now, they may have to run the table when he comes back, but if they can get a victory, and I wouldn't even say steal a victory, this is a game right now. They're a little overmatched coming in against Seattle, but they're in a perfect position to come away with a victory. Now it's just a matter of whether or not they can make the necessary play, starting with this play right here.
Third down, good protection. McFadden inside the 10, but short of a first down.
So now, once again, they're going to have to settle for a field goal. So a heck of a job by this defense in making stops when they've had to on third down to force field goals. I mean, you get the ball turned over on that short of a field, most of the time the offense is going to come away with a touchdown. So that's just a great job by the Seattle defense.
So this fourth quarter began with Seattle leading, and the fourth quarter has been a nightmare for both of these teams so far this season.
Well, you can't put any of this game right now on this defense.
No. Bailey right down the middle. 27 yards out. Hardy needed help getting off the field in the first half. He helps give his team the lead here in the opening seconds of the fourth quarter. Hardy set to get back on defense after his interception led to the go-ahead field goal. But once more, this Seattle defense more than up to the challenge, allowing today just 4 Dan Bailey field goals.
Yeah, really, both these defenses have been up for the challenge.
Well, you can't put a value on Bailey banging all these kickoffs into the end zone the way Lockett has been as a return man. What a day on Fox. It started from London. 1 o'clock Eastern game. This one America's game of the week, and rolling right in to the World Series. Game 5 tonight. Edinson Volquez, Matt Harvey. Mets try to stay alive. And really it would help keep our producer alive, Richie Zion, if they could find a way to get a win.
Yeah. You know, today I got to feel like it feels when you live out on the West Coast. You wake up, turn the TV on, and NFL football is being played.
Marshawn Lynch ran into his own man. That may have prevented him from getting first down yardage, but still a good pickup on first down.
Well, it sure was. You know, Seattle coming into this game, Tom, they had been, good in creating big plays. In fact, 3rd in the NFL in plays of 20 yards or more. But today, neither team has been able to come up with any big plays, but Seattle especially, because that's what they've been able to do well on that side of the ball. And they've only had 1 play over 20 yards, and it was the touchdown pass to Luke Wilson there in that first half.
So those rushing yard numbers, Carolina is the only team in the NFL averaging more rushing yards per game than these Seattle Seahawks. Well, they're going against a defense. Dallas is the 9th best rushing defense in the NFL.
I think this defense is probably underrated, overall. Especially when Romo's healthy and the things that they're able to do on the offensive side of the ball. But defense last week against the Giants, they were outstanding, and they've been good in this game as well.
First down and 10. Thomas rolls, spelling Marshawn Lynch, and he's up across the 40.
Yeah, well, we see what Darrell Bevel's doing as the offensive coordinator. He's going to start running this football and really try to establish here in this fourth quarter what they are about. And only in 2 games this year have they run the ball more than they've thrown it. And last year they were one of the few teams that did that throughout the season. And this drive right here, they're getting a heavy dose of the run game.
Rolls again. Very close to the first down marker. Needed to get to the 45. Looks like they may spot it inches, maybe a foot short.
Third down throughout this game. Seattle has struggled. They've had some really manageable third downs. None easier than this one here at 3rd and 1. But we've seen Seattle over the years struggle with 3rd and 1s.
They've been much better in that category so far this year. As they'll turn and hand it to Lynch. And that second sort of push by Lynch appeared to give him enough for the first down.
Boy, I think so too, Tom. It looked like he kind of got held up there for a minute, but he was able to lunge and give it one last effort and pick that up. And, you know, Marshawn Lynch, he is a beast. You know, when you watch him run and what he's able to do, and I talked about it a lot. He's a young guy, you know, but he's got a lot of wear and tear on that body, and just wonder what kind of shape he's going to be in when he's done playing this
game.
Well,
he's had over 2,200 rushing attempts in his career. Just turned 29. First down, and again the tight end breaking loose. Getting away from Jones is Graham, and that's a first down for the Seahawks inside the Dallas 35.
Look at Will Tukuafu, and we've seen him at tight end. We've seen him at fullback. He stones a guy right there in the hole and gives Russell Wilson time. This was a route they ran in the first half that Wilson was behind Graham on, and they failed to convert. This time, Graham with a step on Byron Jones. He gets a good ball.
Timeout, Seattle.
First charge timeout.
10:38 to go. Wilson has the Seahawks on the move, trailing by 2.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Chevrolet. Find new roads. By FedEx. How the holidays arrive. And by Colonel Sanders Kentucky Fried Chicken. It's still finger-licking good.
That's quite a group you are a part of, Mr. Aikman, in the Cowboys Ring of Honor.
Yeah, there's some special names up there, I know. And I remember when the first time I came here, I was playing in the Cotton Bowl. Looked up there and you see Roger Staubach's name, Bob Lilly. Quite impressive.
Lynch stays on his feet. That should have been a 3-yard loss. Instead, he may have been able to get back to the line of scrimmage. Lee initially there to slow him down.
Well, we'll see what Dallas is able to do. We've seen what Seattle has done. Once the Cowboys have gotten a little something going offensively and have had good field position and able to slow them down and force field goals, and this has been a good drive thus far for this Seattle team.
Second down and 10. Wilson to throw. Looks down the sideline. That had no chance from the very beginning. Just great coverage by Brandon Carr on Doug Baldwin. So now 3rd down and 10. The 4th quarter this season for both of these teams has been a disaster. There's no other way to explain it.
Well, hey, I've said it. 3rd down has not been good to Seattle, and this is when a quarterback, this is when you earn your money. I mean, this is the money down for a quarterback, and this is when you have to be able to make plays. And if you convert here on 3rd down, you're going to come away with points. And if you don't, you're giving the ball back to Dallas.
They need to get to the 25-yard line. 4-man rush. Wilson drops it off to Graham, and that is an outstanding tackle made by Heath in the open field. So out comes Hauschka to try and give the Seahawks a 1-point lead.
Yeah, they don't pick it up, but then Russell Wilson, he's able to move around and buy a little bit of time, and you know, just an excellent job by this Cowboys defense of being able to stay on their receivers even once Russell Wilson gets outside the pocket.
Seattle 2 out of 8 on 3rd downs today. So be a 47-yard field goal try by Hauschka, who's not missed all year going back to last year. And this one is blocked. So live ball out there. And run out of bounds. After picking it up is J.J. Wilcox. It looked like the rookie out of Iowa State, David Irving, was the one who blocked that field goal try. Irving's a big man. He's 6'7", and appeared to get that left paw on it, denying the Seahawks the lead. David Irving only made 8 starts his entire collegiate career at Iowa State. A rookie free agent. The Cowboys picked off waivers from Kansas City. They don't make a lot of headlines, but plays like that do.
Well, he got a good push in the middle, and then he got elevated, right at the time, and longer kick, lower trajectory, and he makes a heck of a play.
It's the 7th time in Hauschka's career he's had a field goal attempt blocked. Been all about defense. The game's only touchdown, the only big play of this entire game by the Seahawks on the touchdown throw. Wilson to Luke Wilson. But the interception by Hardy off a tipped pass led to the Bailey field goal to give the lead. Seattle tried to get it back, and Irving blocks the field goal try, and we're down to 8:20 to go. Dallas with a ball in the lead. McFadden slips a tackle, and about a yard short of a first down.
Well, it's a good run there by Darren McFadden. Overall, the Seattle defense has held up pretty well, and I think McFadden has run hard, but we talked about it, the way that this offensive line for the Cowboys dominated this defensive front a year ago, and was it going to be the same here today? And it hasn't been. The defense has held up. They've done a nice job. They've kept the Cowboys out of the end zone. They've just not gotten any help from their offense.
Pete Carroll's defense looking for a stop on 3rd and 2, and they are going to get it. And who else would it be at a big moment in the game than Michael Bennett?
Yeah, this guy's amazing. He's having a great year. Came into the game leading the league in sacks. He's right here. He's going to split the middle. And the penetration that he gets to hit McFadden in the backfield, he's been close a few times here today. And he's a great pass rusher, as we know, but he's just as good against the run. And he's highly motivated. He's in a contract year, and he's having a great season.
Well, he's a native Texan from Believe, Texas, and played collegiately at A&M. Angled punt, chasing Lockett to the 14. And Lockett's on his feet, look out. Turns a corner to the 40. And run out of bounds right at midfield. This young man, who in his first preseason game returned a kick for 103 yards and a touchdown, and already in this regular season. Oh, wait a minute. All the way back along the sideline at the 20-yard line, there is a flag. Lockett has returned a punt for a touchdown, a kickoff for a touchdown. Had his first receiving touchdown last week, and this one's coming back.
During the return, holding, number 25 return team, 10-yard penalty, first down.
I don't think anybody on the field saw that flag. And of all people, Richard Sherman.
This game is sponsored by Fallout 4, the next generation of open world gaming, available on November 10th.
Tom, here's a look at that penalty on Richard Sherman, and it was a clear hold. I mean, it was pretty blatant from everything that we saw, and you see Richard Sherman talking to the officials, but it brought back a heck of a return by Tyler Lockett.
First down, and Wilson to throw it. And it's Lockett who's chopped down after an 11-yard gain. So here we are, 6:30 to go. You look at the last 4 possessions, nothing for the Seahawks, but the bottom line is they have a quarterback who's been all about winning games through the first 3+ years of his career. And if he can get his team in a field goal range and they kick it through the upright, Seattle wins this one. Can he do it? Lynch to the 30.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, as good as this defense for Seattle has played, and again, both defenses have been exceptional, as well as Seattle has played defensively, holding the team to 4 field goals. If they don't win this game, I'll tell you, it's going to make for a long flight for a lot of offensive players back to the Northwest. Because I think if you'd told Pete Carroll that with 6 minutes to play in the fourth quarter and you'd held the Cowboys to 4 field goals, you'd take that one. But the Cowboys defensively have done an outstanding job holding down this offense.
Fake to Lynch, lofted in the air, and nearly intercepted. Boy, Wilson, certainly as good as he has been, has made some throws so far this year. We saw it twice against the 49ers last week where he just threw it right to the defender.
Yeah, I'm not sure what he saw on this one here. I mean, he's trying to get the ball to Chris Matthews, but as Matthews comes up hobbling. That was dangerous. That was close to being intercepted.
Seattle 2 of 8 on third downs. None bigger than this one right here and right now to keep this drive alive.
Well, Jimmy Graham's up here at the top of the screen.
Only a 3-man rush. And they get it to Graham, and he has enough for a first down.
So they release the inside receiver, and he creates, you see as he runs through his defender, which creates space then for Jimmy Graham to come underneath on that route. You see that a lot. That was close. You can't block beyond, a yard from the line of scrimmage until the ball's touched.
Clock down to 5 minutes. Thomas rolls in the backfield. They fake it to him, and Wilson just throws it away. He took a big hit again from Hardy, who is closing quickly.
Well, they're trying to take a shot. Darrell Bevell knows that yards have been hard to come by, and so they try to block him up. Instead, they got Luke Wilson helping out, trying to secure that edge for Russell Wilson. Not enough time. They showed a double move on the outside, and just not enough time to let it materialize.
Second down and 10. Wilson trying to dive for the first down. He stepped out of bounds, says the official at the 45, which will leave the Seahawks 3 yards short with third down upcoming.
Well, great effort by Russell Wilson, and you're right, as he came out along that sideline, he had stepped out before he was able to lunge, but he knew exactly where he had to get to. But this is obviously a big third down right here. Last 2 third down conversions for Seattle, they've gone to Jimmy Graham. Jimmy Graham's on the end of the line.
Time to go the other way and lock it, and he has a first down. Similar play in reversed fashion, if you will, from the first down to Graham a moment ago.
No, you're right, but there's nothing illegal there because Morris Claiborne, the corner, he's up in press coverage. He's just trying to get off the ball. Jermaine Kearse was, and it opened up the flat then for Lockett in the first down.
8th play of the drive. We're down to 4:41 to go. Buying time, and that is a perfect throw by Wilson. Another first down into the arms of Baldwin.
Well, the Seattle is moving the pocket. So what happens is, as for a defensive back, you know that Seattle likes to try to take their shots. And when you're Morris Claiborne and you see that, you're giving cushion because of the reaction of the receivers on that combination route, and it opens up a lot of space. That's what they were trying to do on the previous play when he had to get the ball out a little bit sooner than he wanted because of Greg Hardy.
Second straight rock solid drive.
I expect to see a little bit of Marshawn Lynch.
Wilson see him right now. Barry Church. There to drag him down, but Seattle with a football inside the 30. And we're under 4:30 to go. Seattle already as many losses as they had all of last year. They started the season 3-3. They won 9 of their last 10 to secure home field advantage throughout the playoffs in the NFC. Cowboys have lost as many games consecutively as they lost all of last year. Wilson will keep it himself. Slides his way to a first down to the 20.
Well, they're locked up in man coverage on the outside, and you're going to see DeMarcus Lawrence. We saw how well he played it last time, and he just thought that the ball had been handed off to Marshawn Lynch. He's playing it the same way. He's waiting to string it out, but he actually thought Lynch had the ball, and that's where Russell Wilson is so dangerous.
Each team with 2 timeouts. Out of the eye, they give it to Lynch. Still on his feet inside the 15, down to the 14. That'll be a gain of 6 on first down for Marshawn Lynch. 78 yards on the ground for Lynch. Timeout on the field. Jason Garrett spends one of his remaining 2 timeouts, stopping the clock with 3:10 to go. Cowboys lead 12-10. Second down and 4 for Seattle. This drive started after the Richard Sherman penalty, taking away a big return by Lockett all the way back to the 15-yard line. Outstanding pursuit by the Dallas defense. Rolando McClain was looking for a penalty after initially forcing, along with Hardy and Mincy, him to the outside.
Well, it's an excellent job defensively. They just never allowed Marshawn Lynch an opportunity to get squared up and downhill, and they string it out. And the Cowboys, I was going to say, I thought they'd called timeout.
Yep.
They called a timeout, and so now they force the hand of Seattle as far as what they want to do. If they want to go for it here on 3rd down and throw the ball, risk stopping the clock, or keep it on the ground, kick a field goal, if they make that and take the lead, knowing that there's going to be still, a fair amount of time on the clock left for the Cowboys.
Take a look ahead at next week. The NFL on Fox returns. Coverage begins at 11 Eastern with Fox NFL Kickoff, followed by America's #1 pregame show, Fox NFL Sunday. Troy, you'll be back with your regular partner, Joe Buck. How about that game between the Packers and the Panthers? It could be. Both still have to play tonight or tomorrow. A battle of unbeaten.
Yeah, that could be a great one. That game is going to be good tonight between Denver and Green Bay.
A battle of unbeaten.
Yeah.
They're going to throw it 3rd down. Or are they? Wilson with room to run. And he will pick up the first down inside the 10. That is a money run by Wilson. And the Cowboys are out of timeouts.
Well, you see the Cowboys, they just don't maintain their lanes. And as Russell Wilson steps up, he's got the back door there just wide open. And then it's a foot race for the pylon to see if you can pick up the first down. And he knows exactly where the marker is. That's a great job by Russell Wilson, just making a play. Pete Carroll talked to him just as he was going out onto the field there. And I think he said, hey, if you don't have it, don't force it and incomplete the ball. It'll stop the clock. And Russell Wilson does it beautifully.
Marshawn Lynch stacked up, run out of bounds. Nice play by the rookie Byron Jones. If you can believe this, the Seattle Seahawks have only scored 1 4th-quarter touchdown, and that was in a season opener.
Well, Tom, right now, with Marshawn Lynch going out of bounds, the clock is stopped, and now they're going to get the benefit of also the 2-minute warning.
Wilson rolled up on by his own man, Tukuafu. And they're going to take a look at Luke Wilson, who's at the 15-yard line. We can read the lips of Wilson. He came off the field, said, "I want back in there." This is a big game for Seattle. And you say, big game. It's the 8th game of the year. Well, you look where Arizona is at 6-2. Seattle will play the Cardinals twice. They've already lost once to the resurgent Rams. That was in the season opener in overtime.
Well, they dug themselves a hole to start this year. They're all big anymore. But what a costly mistake there by Marshawn Lynch going out of bounds. They would have run this thing down. It would now be 2nd down at the 2-minute warning, and the Cowboys, without any timeouts, they would be able to run this thing down pretty good. And now the Cowboys get the benefit of the clock stopping at 2 minutes.
They hand it to Lynch, and he is tripped up, and that'll take us to the 2-minute warning. So a 3rd down coming up. Dallas 12, Seattle 10. The conclusion when we return. Well, you talk about money drives. Seattle so many times has faltered, not just on defense, but on offense in the 4th quarter of games.
Well, a lot of discussion on the sidelines during that break as to what they want to do. And I would envision Russell Wilson rolling him out, seeing if he's got a clean look and a shot for a completion or in the end zone for a touchdown. And if not, him just trying to get what he can. But he's got to be real careful here.
This is 3rd and goal now, remember, from outside the 10. That's what they're going to do. They roll him out. He's going to run. And he will slide down at the 5, which will take us down to right at 1:10 before they have to snap the ball for this field goal try. Hauschka has had one blocked today. Hauschka had hit on 18 in a row coming into the game. He made his first field goal try today, and then had his last one blocked, ending the streak at 19 in a row.
Well, the Seattle Seahawks, they're going to let this thing run down to 1, and Pete Carroll's calling timeout.
First time going back to last year that Hauschka wasn't successful on a field goal attempt, and it was Irving, the rookie, David Irving, who blocked it. You can rest assured his 6'7" frame will be standing right in the middle of that Dallas defense on this try.
Well, the Cowboys, regardless of whatever happens here, I mean, if they make the field goal, of course, they got to go down and get some points. They're going to have about a minute left on this clock with no timeouts to operate with to try to come away with a field goal of their own, assuming that this is a good field goal attempt to go down and win the game.
So it looks like Ryan will spot it at the 14, making it a 24-yard field goal try, and it is good. Seattle takes a 1-point lead, 1:06 to go. Tony Romo, who has engineered so many come from behind wins in his NFL career. He had the 4th quarter comeback against the Giants in miraculous fashion in week 1. And now all he can do is listen to the plays that are being called and cheer on Matt Castle for him to write a script.
Yeah, but let's go back and address Marshawn Lynch going out of bounds. I mean, had he not have gone out of bounds, this game right now would look entirely different. I mean, there would be about 25 seconds left on the clock for the Cowboys then to try to do something to get the ball down the field. So a minute to go. Once they get the ball roughly right around there, you know, they're going to, of course, try to complete some passes, get out of bounds, see if Seattle's able to make some plays.
You know, you give it up to Wilson, and really that entire Seattle offense so maligned in 4th quarters of games so far this season, unable to, you know, either just close out a win against teams that were trying to come back They were only 2 of 8 on third down the entire day. That drive, they were 3 out of 4. The only one that failed was the 3rd and goal from the 11. This won't take any time off the clock. So here comes Matt Castle, making his second start. He threw 3 interceptions, which led to 10 New York Giants points directly. 1 returned for a touchdown, another led to a field goal. He has not turned the ball over today. He's only 13 out of 22, has not even thrown for 100 yards in the air. And now everything will be in the air.
Well, I think if you ask Pete Carroll, there's no group that he'd rather have on the field than his defensive unit right now.
3-man rush. Castle down the middle of the field. Incomplete, looking at Des Bryant in double coverage, and the penalty flag is down.
Yeah, they get Michael Bennett. He goes down low on Matt Castle.
Personal foul. Roughing the passer. Low hit on the quarterback. Number 72 defense. 15-yard penalty. Automatic. First down.
This was an easy one for them to call. He's clearly going low on Matt Castle. The official right there looking at it. Flag comes out immediately.
Hey, a couple of veterans that have been around the block a time or two before, Lynch and Bennett, have made big mistakes here in the final minute and a half.
Well, that was a 3-man rush. Right now they're showing that they're going to come with a 4-man rush. Remember, Seattle is not a team that brings a lot of pressure.
Castle hit as he throws. Jordan Hill's going to pick up the ball, claiming this could be a fumble. And it scored a touchdown. Everybody on the field is stopped and watched. Even the Seattle defense outside.
On the field is a fumble. Recovered by the defense.
I think that's coming back, Tom.
For a touchdown.
See, the ball goes forward.
Fumble on the field. Recovered by the defense for a touchdown.
I think that's an easy call. That's going to come back. It's going to be Dallas Cowboys football. Surprised they missed that one. I didn't even see Castle's arm get hit when it happened, but he was going forward and the ball moves, but it's clearly a pass.
So there's going to be a stop in the action while they take a look in replay. Both coaches pacing up and down that sideline, waiting on the call.
After review, the ruling on the field has been changed. The arm came forward with control. It is an incomplete pass. It'll be 3rd down and 10 yards to go.
I don't think anybody's surprised by that.
No, I'm not surprised, but I know in visiting with Mike Barrett said it was not as clear cut as what I would have thought that it was.
All right, so here we are now. Ball at the 35-yard line after the penalty on Michael Bennett. The Cowboys to give Dan Bailey a shot at what is his career-long, and ironically his career-long field goal is a franchise record of 56 yards. Ironic that it came against Seattle in Seattle last year. They need to get to the Seahawks 39-yard line.
Yeah, but I think that he's got a lot more leg than that.
Castle all day to throw, and it looked like he was hit just as he was trying to dump it off to McFadden by Jordan Hill. 3rd down and 10, 50 seconds remain.
Well, the good thing for the Cowboys is that when he has not had anywhere to go with the football, he's been able to get the ball out, and sometimes you panic as a quarterback. You complete a short pass, he gets tackled. You get no benefit, you get no gain out of the play, yet the clock runs, and so you're better off with these incompletions, which stops the clock.
Castle looking around, being chased, and he's caught from behind by Irvin. Clock continuing to run. It's 4th down. So he can't just go up there and spike the football.
Oh, and he's got to call something that gives this team a chance. They're going to play deep. They know this defense is well versed.
This is a penalty. Dallas could not even get to the line, and it may not matter. On 4th down, it is Bennett and Hill. Averill also there. And again, a penalty flag is down.
Illegal shift on the offense. Inside of 2 minutes, that illegal shift becomes a false start, and the play should have been blown dead with 22 seconds on the clock. That does include a 10-second runoff. Please set the game clock to 12 seconds. It will be 4th down for Dallas after enforcement of the foul.
Mike, you want to chime in there?
Oh, hey. Yeah, this is exactly right. Since the clock was running, the offense, all 11 players have to get set before the snap. They weren't. It was called an illegal shift originally in the live ball foul, but inside of a minute with the clock is running, the illegal shift becomes a false start. They did a good job of resetting the clock back to 22 and then taking the 10 seconds off. So interesting play that they got right.
Well, they're not able to get situated on the 4th down, trying to make a call that gives them a chance to pick up the 1st down. The critical play there was on 3rd down with Matt Castle getting outside the pocket. Outstanding coverage by the Seahawks, and yet not feeling the backside pressure and getting the ball out to stop the clock. They were trying to go to Jason Witten. Initially, it looked like they may have a shot, but an outstanding job by Earl Thomas coming over the top, taking that away. Once he did, Castle then had to get out of the pocket, and he didn't feel the pressure apparently, because otherwise you throw that ball away, you stop the clock, and you're allowed to regroup and then try to go for it on 4th down.
OT presented by Lowe's coming up. And we send you to Citi Field in New York. Game 5 of the World Series. So the Cowboys, 12 seconds left, will get one more chance to try and keep their hopes alive. They need to get all the way to their own 45 for a 1st down. They're out of timeouts. Des Bryant, in his first game back, had 2 catches on 1 drive in the 3rd quarter.
Well, this will be big here.
Castle waiting for somebody, anybody to get open. Throw to the sideline, and it's knocked down. And that's going to tie a ribbon around this one. The Seattle Seahawks will get to 500. And for the Dallas Cowboys, their defense was sensational here today, but their offense, again, even with the return of Des Bryant, just unable to do much of anything at all. A passing game, in fact, that did not even reach 100 yards.
Well, they just couldn't get anything going consistently. You know, Des Bryant, just 2 catches in the game. Richard Sherman does a good job on him. Both of these defenses were outstanding. It was just going to be who held up. You know, there were very few big plays in the game offensively, not much offense to speak of. But Seattle, when they had to make a stop, they were able to do so and secure the win.
Well, you do have to snap it one more time, and stranger things have happened, but not today. The Seahawks come to Dallas and get revenge from the Cowboys win in Seattle a year ago. 13-12 the final. We're back to Arlington in a moment. You're watching the NFL on Fox.